Welcome to Between Two Peers, a live stream show where your hosts, Mistress, Sassy, Seamstress, that's me, and Sir Danger Muppet, my beautiful co-host, invite a guest from around the known world to answer your pressing questions about life, the universe, and everything. This week is sponsored by Gin and Tonic. You either love them or hate them. However, we find them delicious. This show is rated R for language, possible sexual conversation topics, and general sassy opinions. My name is Tulia Alori, and I am Laurel in the SCA. I have been a Laurel for about 8 years now. And prior to that, I was just a big nerd who loves medieval stuff and ended up having a good time with a particular art. And then next thing you know, they give me like a fancy award for it. So that we're going to roll right into Helga's intro.
I'm Sir Danger Muppet, otherwise known as Helga. I like hitting my friends with sticks, making art, and apparently I almost just stuck my foot in my mouth right out the gate. Helping people do things.
Helping do people?
And tonight, our guest is Count Seto. Seto?
Hello, it's nice to meet you today. I just changed my name to Count Chocula. It seems that I've now ascended the rank to a count. I am a former mid-realm. I've been in the society for 11 years, and I am happy to be on this show between two wonderful peers and get to know some more about you and have some wonderful time with questions.
All right.
So now we're going to introduce a drinking game because we've joked at it, we've hinted at it, we had the Lady of the Lake create us a list, and so now there's a slide. So the drinking game. TA name. Drink when someone says, when I was a baby peer. Drink when somebody says, here in the West, or the kingdom they're from, if they're our guest. And drink when somebody says, when I last reigned. And then the two that are really, really going to screw everybody up is drink when somebody yells soapbox or spite sprinkles. So have fun, drink along with us, and we'll go from there because we're also playing the game.
Now, wait. Can I get quick? What are spite sprinkles?
Did I not explain spite sprinkles?
Oh, maybe we didn't.
Okay. So
Inquiring minds want to know.
I live off I live off like absolute sheer joy, like some big mastiff puppy. And the last 10% of everything I do has a little bit of spite put into it. And so there was this joke that I would put spite sprinkles on my coffee in the morning because I've been told, oh, you can't do this for like whatever list of reasons before, and jerk. I give it I'll deal with it. And so it became my term of like, I'm just going to go put some spite sprinkles on it and deal with it because somebody told me I can't. So now I'm going to prove to them that
Someone said drink. She said that 3 times.
Hey, Helga, nice glass.
In a cup.
Oh man, I missed out. Mine's glass though too, but
brought to you by Historical Glassworks.
Yeah.
They glow in the dark.
We got matching glow in the dark ones. There are Between Two Peers celebratory, splurgy buy, but they're fabulous. So yeah,
that's
Historical
amazing.
Glassworks. Plug.
I will have to make that a purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So are you ready for questions?
I am ready as I will ever be.
All right. This one's from Peggy. Being so gorgeous, Your Excellency, did it hurt when you fell from heaven?
Oh my gosh. I saw this one. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to answer this, but thank you very much. It did not hurt to fall from heaven, which I did not. I was here on the earth just like any of these two wonderful ladies. You might want to ask if it hurt them as it fell from heaven, if they fell from heaven, but no. But thank you, though. I'm blushing. You can't tell. I'm blushing.
We've achieved it right out of the gate. Helga?
So, I was going to make you answer it first.
I'll answer it first. I've got a great comeback to this one. I broke every bone in my body falling from heaven. Like, this was not an easy fall. It was not pleasant. But thank you for saying I'm gorgeous.
So I'm going to be sassy as fuck and say, I didn't fall. I'm a goddamn Valkyrie. We just fly.
Ooh. I like it.
Okay, there's my ego moment for the night. I'm just gonna hide under my keyboard and go from there.
I don't believe you at all, Your Grace.
I'm.
Oh, did I use a title? Is that drinking or?
Oh,
No,
that's
you have to drink every time you use one of our titles.
Oh, what? Oh, okay.
I don't have a phone title.
Oh no, don't add that one to the list. This is just for Seto, because this is a game that started at Estrella, and I would like to note he's gonna lose.
No, because by playing, I'm winning. And you do have a title. Sassy Pants.
Yes, I do. I am sassy. I am very sassy.
Are we ready for the second question?
Yeah. Do it.
This one comes from Leon. Soren. Drink.
Oh, we have to drink.
Man.
Who's a current Prince of Awertha. Is being a peer and being yourself two different things?
That's a good question. Maybe one day when I grow up and I'm a official good peer, I'll know. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's not. It's the same thing to me. It's one of those things where some people have their whole roles. They're like, I am Seto, and I'm not going to say who I am mundanely because that's silly. But they're one and the same. If anything, real life me was what I wanted Seto to be, or what I wanted to be in real life. So now they're the same.
Sassy?
Well, Muppet. I think they're absolutely one and the same. I don't see there's a difference between Tulia, call me Tulia, but Tulia and are actually essentially the same person. Maybe a little bit different personality expression in, everyday life versus the SCA. Because I feel more emboldened to be outspoken and supportive and kind of use my position in the society for good in ways that I really don't feel when I'm just, regular old Sarah who is, just like everybody else and everything, whatever. But I think that morally, my moral center is exactly the same in both cases. And I try to use my powers for good in the SCA. And then when I'm outside of the SCA, a lot of my personal values get expressed in the real world as well. Very similarly, like SCA values get expressed similarly. And I think there's some cultural, a little bit of culture shock sometimes when I'm interacting with somebody who's not familiar with the SCA outside of it. And then I bust out some chivalric blah, 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 virtue, this, that, or anything else. And they're just kind of like, what the actual fuck are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
But that's my
Sarah,
my moral compass is, I think, the same, and it's very heavily influenced and informed by the society's morality, or I don't know, lack thereof, I guess.
Yeah, no, it can be either way. Yeah.
I would like to note I'm catching both Sarah and Seto need to take a drink. I took a drink.
I've been drinking this constantly.
And you said Sarah. I was referring to myself and my mundane self.
Yeah, that was a question. That's a trick. That was a trick. We were talking about both ourselves.
I'll let you get past this one's Helga. But I think it's actually okay when you're referring to the two different expressions of a personality inside and outside of the SCA.
I have a feeling we're going to need to refine some of the rules off this drinking game because it's going to be bad quick.
I'm going to run out of cocktails.
Sorry. Not sorry.
So,
all right. Helga.
My answer to that is being a peer myself two different things, and it is not. However, being a peer has made me better as an individual. Being a peer meant that I gave up some things. So I gave up my ability to hide some of my flaws, and I gave up my ability to hide my mistakes. And instead of turning that into two different people, I just assumed that in real life also, and it's actually made me a better person. So I really think that the path to peerage and then accepting that oath has made me better as a mundane person. And so, because I don't want them to be two different people. I don't want to be Sir Helga on the weekends and Araya at home. I really just want to be like Sir Araya.
And I think that that's something that always takes me aback a little bit when I encounter someone in the SCA who feels very strongly that who they are in the SCA is completely different than who they are outside of it. And I've run into this with peers who are like, well, I would be, I'm this way when I'm sir whatever, but in the real world I'm this way. And I'm like, really? That seems like a fundamentally weird sort of mentality.
Well, some people use it as a form of escapism. I like to use it more as a kind of power fantasy, but not like exerting power over others. It's being that true, which you're like, man, like, why am I not this way? Why can't I be this way? But in the SCA, you can be whoever you want.
It's true. And, we are all, equals in the SCA. The ranks that we attain doesn't make anyone better than just the new person who just came to their first event. That's really what I love about the SCA is that more than any other reenactment society that I've been affiliated with several, this one is very egalitarian in its approach. And it's not perfect. It is absolutely not perfect. Not get me wrong. There's a lot of room for improvement, but there is absolutely an element of egalitarianism in baked into what we do in the SCA that you just really don't see anywhere else.
Yeah. Now I have to say, like, now we're going around a circle, but in my kingdom, it was interesting because people, they wanted to have you have a certain level, and oh man, I'm just gonna get you to know. When I was reigning, since it was just a little bit.
Oh, you don't get back to that.
I can do what I want. I'm a guest.
Followed. I hadn't even followed my first set.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to.
Phrasing.
So quickly. Phrasing. Are we doing that? Phrasing. But there's a level of nobility, or there's a level of the dream that people want you to have, but you can still have that and then just take off whatever you're doing, just be like, hey, like, are you having fun? Is this your first event? Let me, like, what are you interested in? You can make people's dreams come true. And now we're starting to spiral off, but I think it's kind of cool.
I think it is actually a really cool facet about what we do in the society, how we do it, and how we approach it. Yeah. All right.
Are we ready for the next question?
All right.
Ready and willing.
Hey, girl. Hey. Steph Holt asks, what is your favorite of all time and why?
I'm sorry, I cut out for one second. The favorite what of all time?
What is your favorite event and why? Your favorite event of all time. Like, it can be a reoccurring one, or it could be like a singular moment in time at a specific event.
Wow. That's so hard. I have to say, phrasing, it's interesting because it has to be Penzic for me. Penzic was my third event in the SCA. I've been in the SCA now 11 years, and my third event was Penzic. Granted, some people can say that Penzic is not really an event because it's an amalgamation of all these things. We have people that are not skating, so you have everything all over the place. But you get to meet people all across the known world. Like, when I try to tell, I don't say this derogatory, but I say muggles, people that don't play the SCA, or people that just don't play skatings, that you get to meet people from Australia. You get to make friends. You get to see family that you only get to see maybe once a year. Or in this case, I mean, I have to say, I'm going to drink in a member of silence right now for Penzic being postponed.
I was supposed to take my war unit this year.
Oh, no. I was just going to be a nobody and be like, just go kill people and have fun fighting.
We were excited about next year because it was going to be Penzic 50, and we were planning on going. I've never been to Penzic. I've only ever heard never 28 years in the society. I've never made it to Penzic, but the next year, of course, was going to be Penzic 50, and we had planned to make that whole trek, and it's going to be crazy. Yeah. And then, of course, they postponed this year, but then they decide that next year is going to be Penzic 49, and we're like,
well, they're adding another thing to it. No, it's tragic. I like that they're doing that, but it's hard. But no, Penzic's the best event. Exactly. And it'll be different. People get time, but Penzic's the best because I got to meet. I think I met Her Grace Helga there for the first time. As
we awkwardly interacted at the Royals meet and greet, we're like, we don't know what we're doing.
Like, hi, how are you? I am Prince so and so. I am trying not to embarrass my parents. Where's the snacks? And you're just talking, but you get to meet people, and they get to be your lifelong friends. It's not just because of status, not because it's all because you're nerds doing a nerd game, having fun doing nerd stuff.
Bingo.
Anyway, I'll let you go. Your turn.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, what is your favorite event?
Helga, you want to take this one? I'm answering a question in the chat right now. So.
Yep. So my favorite event is actually Gulf Wars. Gulf Wars is not a war. I'm just going to be really, really clear on this. Gulf Wars is not a war. Gulf Wars is a town that has a bunch of pissy fighters with a skirmish outside of it.
A kerfuffle even.
You can either go take part in the skirmish, or you can be in the town, or yes, both. Because I think Gulf Wars actually has like the ultimate schedule of not starting fighting until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so you can stay up and party and drink, and you wake up and you get your garb and you're a little hungover, and you walk down to the bakery and you get fresh made bread and you eat that with your friends, and then you go get rigged, and then you like rinse, repeat for like 7 days.
7 days.
Also, I think I just like the culture of it a lot. So I like Penzic for like the big, like, holy crap, there's so many people here. And you can go from a completely period camp to like dudes in a loincloth and elf ears. What the fuck is going on? And everybody's pretty friendly. But Gulf Wars for me is like where it falls away. Like it's definitely more heavy SCA. But like they have built-in long cabins or long halls and the gates and everything else like that, so you can actually like walk through these huge built-in structures and get lost in the whole experience. So that's one of the reasons why I really, really love Gulf Wars. Also, the horseback riding is really baller there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love the question.
I really want to go to Gulf Wars. That's another one I've never made it out to. Actually is on the bucket list for next year as well. Fingers crossed. We actually get to have these things.
I have like $400 in ticket credit because I was supposed to fly to Gulf Wars.
My gosh.
It's insane. I would say my favorite event of all time, it's also a war. It's West On Tier War, or On Tier West War, depending if you are on tier or the West. And people like to say it switches because it's, who hosts it every year. It should switch, like which kingdom gets like the part. To me, it's always West On Tier. It's always West On Tier. It just rolls off the tongue better, But it is a fabulous event. And I am not a fighter. I have like nothing to do with any of that. What I love about it is it's on the coast, kind of like southern, centrally Oregon coast, and it's just gorgeous. The site is beautiful. The weather is perfect. It almost never gets above like 75 degrees. You might have like a heat wave with like 80 degrees, but it's like, it's right.
Wait, when is this going to be? Because I need to write this down and pencil it in.
It got canceled. It would have
been, sure, but in full time and in the future.
It usually happens right around the 4th of July. It usually covers the first week of July. So it'll very rarely does it happen before the 4th or after the 4th. Mostly it kind of covers the 4th. So first week of July. And it's just fabulous. It's wonderful.
What's really cool, Seto, is if you can come out, one, I can host you because I own way too many pavilions, so I can host my friends. So please, God, come use them.
I was going to say we have extra pavilions as well. So
ladies, it'll be fine. We'll come. I'll time share one.
We can. You want us to fight? We can pillow fight.
Yeah, pillow fight.
I am down for this.
I already promised Helga sexual favors if she won Crapaud last night, and she won Crapaud last night.
Oh, you won? I didn't get to watch all of it.
Viva la Crapaud.
So Jello wrestling it is, and pillows afterwards. So
Helga will win.
Get a kiddie pool.
I think everybody's winning there.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, that you were gonna finish, Helga. I'm sorry I interrupted.
I was just gonna say that one of the cool things about West On Tier War is like you get done fighting, you go shower, and then you pile in a truck with somebody and you go to the beach where you then watch the fireworks.
Yeah. I've never made it out to the beach. That's one thing I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go walk to the beach because it's about a mile, maybe a little bit less than a mile from site.
That's nice.
So it's not a bad walk. And I always like, I'll go out there at sunset, I'll go out there at sunrise and just enjoy, especially at sunset, we get the western sunset out here, and it just never never managed to do it.
It sounds
But
delightful.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. Come, please.
Get your ass out here, and then come with us. All right, so we should probably move on to the next question so we can like continue rolling through these.
Yeah, sorry, it's my fault.
No, we're doing well.
It's actually part of the fun of the show.
Yeah.
Yay! I mean, good. I'm glad it's my fault.
Okay, so this one is from Rachel. How important is it for you personally to set the tone or elevate your own behavior to show your peerage in the best light?
So to me, I think about this, and it doesn't matter if I'm peer, even though that's the question being asked, and we think about this doesn't have to be for peers. Think about sometimes that you are an ambassador for the SCA. Doesn't matter. You've been in for a little while. You are organizing. You are a card-carrying member. You are now an ambassador. So it's super important. Now, me being a knight, and now I guess being a royal peer, I feel that you can be somebody's first peer they meet. So you can also be the worst peer they've ever met. Don't let it be the latter. You can always welcome them. And how some people most of the time ask, what is it you like to do in the SCA? And you can tell them and pontificate and hit them with the fire hydrant of, they're just like, oh my God, I don't know what I can do. But I think you tell them maybe one thing you like to do. You're like, I like to do metal casting or fighting, but what do you like to do? What is it you would like to do? And most of the time you see people's eyes just go I mean, they're like, what are the choices? Like, do you like blacksmithing? Do you like glasswork? So I think it's super important to elevate yourself to a level of accessibility, friendliness, and just welcoming. So just like these lovely ladies have welcomed me to their show and been awesome hostesses, you got to do the same. So,
well, thank you for joining us.
You're making me all like, oh.
Oh, I try. But they're trying to beat around the bush too much, but it's super important.
Do you want me to go? Okay. Yeah. So my answer is yes, absolutely. I think it's important to try to elevate your behavior as a peer. Do I always succeed? No. Do other people always succeed? No. I think that the important thing is to remember that just because you are elevated to a peerage does not mean that you are not a human being with all the bullshit that goes into being a human being. And you know, catch me on the wrong day at the wrong time in the wrong way, and I can be an asshole of epic proportions, and it does not speak well to me as a peer when I behave that way. But the follow-up to that is, yes, we are all human beings and we all fuck up. But one of the things about being a peer that I firmly believe is that you should, in fact, if you are, and also if you're aspiring to be a peer, own your fuck ups when they happen. Apologize to the person that you ripped them. Yeah, you ripped them a new asshole because you hadn't eaten breakfast that morning and you were hangry and somebody just was in the way and you were like, yeah, at them. Apologize to that person. You know, own your shit. It is a huge thing for me to see peers who act like they don't have to apologize for being shitty when they are actually called out on being shitty or being, you know, less than peer-like in some way. And I also see it as a mark of peer-like qualities in a candidate or somebody who's aspiring to be a peer, to be able to say, I really fucked up there and I am very, very sorry about it. And not to be like, I'm sorry you got hurt, or I'm sorry you're upset that that what I said. No, to actually say like, I see what I said upset you and I am sorry because I was wrong. You know? Or maybe not even I was wrong. I expressed my views in a way that was harmful to you. And we can disagree about these things in a way, but I failed at it, you know, and I mea culpa, I accept that. I am sorry. Yeah. So that would be my, yeah, you can fuck up all you want, but you know, own your shit. Don't fuck up.
So I'm gonna mirror both of them actually. But I've got to weird take on this. And so, sorry, I also have my pen with my little unicorn, which is like the best fiddly stick ever. So.
Oh, Helga, what happened to the wand? The wand that was in the office.
Oh, the wand of HR?
Yes, where is it?
Here.
Okay, next show we got to have the wand.
Yeah, I'll bring the wand of HR for the next show.
I'll tune in for that.
Yeah, so especially since it's Ryu. So my answer to that is, I'm actually going to answer, amusingly enough, as a pelican and a royal first, and then I'm going to answer for a knight because it's actually a separate answer for me, and I'll tell you why. And it's kind of weird and deep and shitty. As a pelican and a royal, I feel that I should own my shit. I should apologize when needed. Public ownership of feelings. Building my students up or building those I'm working with up, and it's very personally important to me to set the tone, to elevate those peerages and make sure that my actions reflect well on those. However, those two peerages have more social credit in the bank right now than the knights do. And so, sorry guys, we're having technical difficulties for a moment. So
no, pay no attention to the man behind it. I can't figure out maybe Nintendo.
Chaos and disorder.
Wait, can you still hear me?
It's okay. We're gonna be okay. Just keep talking, Helga.
Keep going. So you guys can't see all my like mad hand gestures with me, and so I think the royal peerage and the pelicans have more social credit in the bank with the populace and their faith in the faith bank than the knights do right now. And the knights are getting better because we're having a huge cultural shift towards more like Gen X and millennial thinking of that ownership of self. And as the knights are learning that that's okay, it is becoming that social credit bank is more and more. And so you can just kind of be yourself and you can be mellower and just on point. But I feel that as a knight right now, my behavior as a knight is much more heavily weighted than my behavior as a pelican and then as a royal peer, because we've had some really, really shitty interactions. And so I try to make sure that my behavior is on point. And when I screw up, I'm very loud about screwing up. And I'm very loud about ownership and how to make it right and how I'm trying to make it right. Because the faith of the populace is what gives any of the peerages power or the ability to be seen or heard or recognized. And so that it means a great deal to me to make sure that I am trying to lead that charge a little bit and try to be one of the ideals. And I realize I'll never be that. I will always be seeking that and always chasing it, always doing the thing. But I'm okay with that. And I want that because I don't want to suck at this. I don't want to be one of the bad guys.
You want to be one of the best of us, which you've already probably assumed, but yeah.
I am going to make you drink every time you say that.
That's fine.
It's a Seto specific drinking game.
The videos are mostly fixed. I would like to note that our tech crew got their show and now they're screwing with the layout.
And they're also geniuses who will figure this stuff out, and I'm not too worried. But yeah, technical difficulties. It's part of a live show. That's what makes us, loose and on the fly.
I love it. Especially when she got muted too.
No.
So, I believe I saw the Lady of the Lake state her in. She around? Oh no, she's not happy. We can go to the
Oh no, here it is. Wait, I saw something come up.
Oh.
What is that?
I needed.
Oh gosh.
I would like to note that she made something for you.
Yes, blah, come chocolate. I love it. I'm going to picture my face and put my face right there. Be like,
oh God.
I'm keeping this at my desk. I want you to note I'm just putting this right on my bookshelf.
I want copies.
That's
the actual question.
And the actual question from the Lady of the Lake.
Oh. Ooh, spicy.
Oh.
Frequently, when people are so attractive that they are striking, they know it. And frequently, they will not be nice. They're not nice people as well. You are genuinely kind. What the heck happened to make you such a nice guy?
That's such a leading question. And first of all, thank you.
I'm putting that
And-
on the Count Chocula poster now, just so you know you got a poster in my bedroom.
Oh, thank you. And I'm honored. And I don't see myself that way. It's interesting. Like we looked at high school pictures or anything like that whole like nerd-tastic guy. That was me in high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do, social butterfly. But I think just being nice to people is really what happened. And to see it actually get returned in spades. Like if you just return kindness with kindness, or sometimes assholery with kindness, and then that's the really fun part. Like I don't know if it'll get to that question, but when someone's being a jerk and you're like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm not sorry, and then you just be nice. So thank you so much, and I don't know, I'm not gonna change. So
I'm pretty sure Lady of the Lake, you made him blush hard.
very much so. Thank you, Lady of the Lake. Thank you for distributing swords.
She's our moistened bent, our very own.
Ooh.
That's only a naughty word if you speak British English.
It's such a thing. It's just word moist. It's a weird word.
She's a watery tart. I don't know. What do you want?
Distributing scimitar.
Well, I don't know. Apparently, out of the three of us, you've got the game up on getting that sword from her, and being the next like named king. Because I'm pretty sure that was a question only you got to answer.
Oh, that's true, but that's okay because it's okay to have specific guest answer questions.
Are we ready for the next question?
Oh, I just want to remark what you all can't see right now going on in the background is our darling Carius is now showing off a completely full bottle of Grey Goose vodka in front of everyone. Well, good. We're learning.
These are truly professionals. Truly professionals.
I don't know. Well, we're professional somethings, that's for sure. Ding dongs. Professional ding dongs. All right. So number 5 is from Hansa. DC or Marvel?
That's a hard. Holy shit.
I know.
All the questions we got here. Oh man. Why you gotta do that, Hansa? Can I be that one person just say both? Like there's the best of both worlds and all different things I think are cool. But I'm not gonna lie. So okay, cat out of the bag. My mundane name is Spencer. So I always my government name is Spencer.
His government is a signed name.
Yeah. And I always thought it was cool. Like I always want to be Super Spence. And like my first, I'm a good vodka. Oh, good vodka, yes. I was like, I gotta get some bling because that was cool name. So I got like a silver S. So I was always like, I'm Super Spence. Because I always like Superman. Because Superman's cool, even though he's a Boy Scout, but he always makes a choice to do what's good. He could like blow the whole world up and do whatever he wants, but you have to make a choice. So for that case, I like Superman, even though I think of Batman more these days. But Black Panther's awesome, I'm not gonna lie. Wakanda forever. I mean, I gotta do that properly. I can't just be like, Wakanda forever. So it's, I don't know, man. They're both good. The other thing's great. And some of the Dark Horse comics, which is I think under DC is better. But yeah, nerd showing a little bit too much. Both, and I love you. I'm sorry that I was wishy-washy.
I like that you just, actually, you're very fair about it. There are good things about each universe that, I'm just going to jump right in. Sorry, you shush. Like I was raised on both. My dad was a huge comic book geek. He was born in the 40s, so he was like kind of the golden era of comics when he was a teenager in like the 50s, 60s. And fun fact, that's actually my mundane last name, Goodman.
What? Okay.
He was a good man. But his favorites were ones that I was, kind of raised with as a little kid. Sure. He died when I was very young. And so I have one of these like weird relationships with it where I was raised with specifically Captain America for sure. And then Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman being, DC was one of the few, there are many, but one of the few kind of heroines in her own sort. It had like just a massive expansion of her story, especially in the 70s. You know, I was born in the late 70s, so I grew up with Linda Carter as Wonder Woman and the show and everything, and I was obsessed with it as a little kid. And so Wonder Woman in my heart always number one. But as an adult, I have to admit I kind of like gravitate more towards Marvel. I really and especially I mean, the movies, somebody actually in the chat said that kind of summed it up for me, which was, you know, they're both good, but Marvel movies are better than DC movies. And
very much so.
With the exception of like the Batman kind of universe thing, that's kind of its own little thing, apart from everything else. Yes, okay, so
yes,
we have Carius now like shoving
great.
Marvel in the camera on his phone.
he's like Marvel.
But so that's mine.
I love it. No, it's a good answer.
Helga.
Oh, my husband just walked in with this huge plate of food and just like wafted it at me and was like, after the show. So mine is I'm big into like the DC and Dark Horse comics. I'm gonna go through the brief moment here too. Marvel really makes a better storyline, like for movies. Like they're choosing. They don't jump the shark 3/4 of the way through the fucking movie, like every DC movie ever. Right now, I'm just like,
yeah.
Wonder Woman has the magic dick. Like, just don't even get me started on that one. Like, I'm just like, that is just, there's a rant there that's just angry. But like, Batman versus Superman, like, just again, like, jump the shark, like 3/4 of that movie, super interesting, fun, like, yeah, action movie, and then you're like, you jump the fucking shark. Could you have just like wrapped it up like 20 minutes sooner, and we would have been fun. You don't need to add the extra sprinkles on what you already had there, because, like, for fuck's sake, stop fucking your movies up. It's not hard. Single story arc. Let us ride that single story arc. We will then spend more money to watch the next story arc. Stop trying to do like 3 story arcs in one fucking movie. Like, can you quit?
Can you tell me how you really feel? That does sound like a soapbox a little bit, but
no, it's not a soapbox.
It sounded like a soapbox.
If we discuss the magic dick, that's a soapbox.
I know
didn't you discuss it a little bit?
You just really want to make us drink? Is this the thing?
I mean, I'm having a good time.
That was like, I don't know what the fuck. I don't care anymore.
I'm like, pot stirring.
There's a trope in movies, and it happened like so damn terribly in Wonder Woman, is that, you know, a woman finds her power once she discovers the one true golden cock.
Oh no, that is true. That is true.
Just giantly tropey. Either they need to give up their ability to have children, or they find the one golden cock, and thus their power is magically released into the universe, and they're some godlike creature, and blah blah blah. And so I lost my shit at Wonder Woman, because in the end scene where What's-His-Bucket is flying off to go blow up the bomb, jerk, 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 whatever, that's where she found her power. Instead of the scene where they're in the town and they're showing raw humanity after war. There was so much they could have done with that. Her power comes from her humanity and her ability to relate to it. And so in that scene...
Empathy.
Is really
yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
especially when you're a deity and you don't have to care about anything.
Yeah,
exactly. So instead of using the moment where all these PTSD-based soldiers are having a quiet moment, or the town has survived the bombing, which then it doesn't later, whatever. But that moment where she's actually interacting with real humanity for a moment, instead of using any of those scenes and any of those characters, she finds her power because of losing her cock-based virginity. That's it. That's fucking it.
Can I get a little mini soapbox like next to yours? I'm going to point out that they brought What's-His-Bucket back in the next movie. He returns. And so, you know, that's the thing where I'm just like, okay, so she discovers cock for the first time and becomes truly empowered and love and whatever. Yeah, great, whatevs. He dies. Okay, so now she's a fully rounded person now because she's experienced love and loss. And then they just bring the fucker back. I mean, like, and it's, what the fuck? Yeah, I agree. I agree that part with the modern remakes or reboots. I do have kind of like the same sort of, wait, did that just happen?
Yeah, because they don't want to have consequences. They're afraid.
you know.
But they just
Anyway,
stop with that trope. It's the stupidest
Yeah.
trope ever. I'm sorry. Your heart is not touched when a dick enters your vagina. There's a lot of space between there. Fuck that shit.
I mean,
anatomy-wise, I mean, you're right. You look at the chart; it doesn't make any sense. So you're right. That soapbox,
Nobody's
I'll drink for your soapbox.
nobody's
that
dick is
point.
that big. Also, this is
Why-
why the show is R-rated.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. But
So much rage.
All right. Well, Helga, do you want to move to the next question?
We probably should.
Okay.
Okay.
oh, giggly, I love it.
Christine. Okay, so this is our heavy question of the show. So here we go.
Oh, there's only one.
No,
Well, this is our heaviest. Yeah.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
Are there any parts of the SCA that make you feel uncomfortable or unwelcome? And what do you think that we can do to change that and make it more comfortable and welcoming?
It's hard. Of course, we won't get into the current world events because that's really heavy. But it's hard. I mean, I'll just say, if I say when I was Prince, do I have to drink? Is that no?
No, don't.
Okay, sweet. But this last Penzic, even though it's something that's supposed to be interesting, there was times where people would say things that are hurtful as far as like, you're the whitest black guy I know, you're all these things. People would rob me of my heritage or rob me of my who I am in a moment of trying to make me feel welcome. And it was hard because that's something I've had my entire life. And just because I'm different or otherwise, I'm like, hey, that's not cool. Don't rob me of who I am, which is some part, even though I'm wearing more African style things, my persona being African samurai, it's basically, I've always been an African persona. I just like doing Japanese stuff. But now I'm trying to show more of who I actually am. Because my idea was I want to be maybe a personal ancestor. And that's why I want to be in the SCA. But it's just hard. I think just understanding, listening, people just listening these days, it's hard to actually listen and then maybe not critique something, even though that's okay. But sometimes sharing your own, I guess, your experiences is something that can help from both sides. Race, anything, gender, it just talking and then listening is really what people can do. And a lot of times people think they're listening, or we're listening to tell a story, but they're already thinking about the next thing we're going to say. They're not actually listening at the words coming out of your mouth. So, but no, I'm still here. I'm not going to go anywhere. I love the society. I have friends. I make more friends like Mistress Sassy Pants and Sir Danger Muppet. And you can't see them because they're invisible behind the scenes. Exactly, Baby Ninja and that wise. But there's tons of people that you meet that makes it worthwhile. But most of the time, it's all about intent. And most people's intent is not malicious. So, yeah, sorry. Was that soapbox? Does that count as soapbox?
No, actually, I thought that was
very thoughtful. Yeah, very thoughtful answer. Yeah. Do you want to go, Helga?
Okay, so I'm gonna set down my soapbox on this one because I have actually thought about this question since it got posted, and it actually really jacked me up.
Sure.
Any part of the society where we start to fetishize somebody or something, and this happens very frequently with minorities within the fighting community.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I use that word is because it's one of the relatable words that we have to it. Women turn into the Great White Hope, and then all of a sudden there's like all these guys that are like, hey, let me help you get there. And what it is it's actually very close to a fetish. Like, if I'm a part of that, then I'm special and you're special. And I'm like, hey, can you not actually fetishize? That'd be great. Like, I'm here and yeah, I've got boobs and I'm a fighter and I'm actually not, I don't suck too terribly. I've got a lot to work on, but I don't suck.
Sure.
And also I think that you've probably experienced some of that as one of the minority groups in the SCA of like, well, if you prove you can do it, then you're laying the foundation. That's actually almost like fetishizing somebody to the point of like making it really awkward, and it makes it really hard because it's really weird. And it's like, hey, we're all here having fun. And I think that's part of the thing that we actually run into with like peers being unapproachable is because we put them on a pedestal and now they're something unattainable. They have become an unhealthy fetish. And so I really think that that's actually, it's an overall thing. It happens in society a lot. When you're an outside or an outlier in the data pool, you turn into a hyper focus. And I think anybody in those hyper focus spots gets to the point where they feel uncomfortable and they feel unwelcoming. And I can tell you that, at least in some of my personal experience, when everybody like rallies and they're like, "Oh, well, you can do it, so you're proving it that everybody else can do it," I'm like, I feel super uncomfortable and unwelcome right now because now I have to live up to your standards. So how about fuck up?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if you've experienced that, but that's actually, like, I sat and had to think on this question and think on this question and think on this question. And I really think that when we take outside data points in our group and turn them into some fucking unicorn, we're actually making that group unwelcome, and we're making them uncomfortable because now they're under the spotlight to prove they can survive. And what we can really do is understand that we're all fucking people.
Yeah.
That, you know, cool, we have some differences, but get the fuck over it and just, like, cool, you're part of the group. Now, how do we make sure that you survive? Like, how do we support this? How do we make sure you survive? Versus being like, I'm going to keep you safe. And that's the
thing. Yes. No, it's horrible. Then you got to think about new minority groups as far as female fighters, talk about other races and that why people, we're invested. We're invested. We love this game. 28 years. How many other years? You got to think about the new person that's like, they get one whiff of this and they're like, cool, yeah, no, bye.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, sorry.
I think I came at it, I'm going to come at this question from the standpoint of being young and female in the SCA. When I joined, I was 15, and it was the early 90s, and the 60s mentality that everybody was like swinging 60s was not that far off at that period of time. It was still heavily prevalent in the West Kingdom. I can only imagine the rest of the SCA was very similar. And I got creeped on hard for ages 15 to about 22. And then I took a several year break, about right around the age of, well, it's more like 20. I think I was about 20, and I took like 4 or 5 years away from the SCA because the creepery was off the fucking charts. And I finally reached a limit with it. So when I was 15 and coming to like the local fighter practice, which was in the area I grew up in called Gather, it was kind of there was like an arts element to it. It was like a little mini weekly event, really. I mean, you came in mundane clothes, but fighter stuff happened, but people would get together and they would, you know, do a bardic, or they would, you know, do an art thing. And like, there was usually like some other like SCA aspect to it that wasn't just fighting. And there was this guy, you know, I couldn't even tell you his name. I don't remember. He was quite a bit older than me, though, at least in his 40s at the time. And he was super friendly and super nice. And I was brand spanking new and like, you know, little teenage me. And I, at one point, after thinking, you know, like, hey, this older man is kind of cool and I can trust him and I can be around him, because I've always been very suspicious of friendly men. Like, what do you want from me? What do you want? Back the fuck off. This guy goes on to start talking about how my body reminds him of his favorite Playboy model. And at this time, I think I'm about 16. And I tell him, you realize I'm jailbait, right? And he's like, well, if you don't care, I don't care. And I'm just like, I was horrified. I was horrified. And I, you know, my comeback to that was, I fucking care. Also, you see all those mean people over there with sticks? I'll go tell them you said that. You don't fucking back off. So I personally have never had a problem telling people to back the fuck off. But I hear a lot of women in the SCA who aren't comfortable speaking it out and who do endure that same interaction. And still to this day, I hear young women who come into the SCA talking about the same kind of interactions, the same kind of like, you know, creeping, hey, like, and all they want to do is be there to geek with people about the Middle Ages without having it be about their body or their sexuality or their potential, you know, to like get them in bed. But it is, and I just very definitely experienced it very intensely as a young woman in the SCA. And now as I'm older and I've been in the SCA longer and I've got all this cred, I've got peerage, I've got a barony, I've got like, you know, I'm dating a scary duke. Like, you know, I find people approach me with a lot more respect right off the bat than I did before I was any of that. When I was just a lady in the SCA, a young lady in the SCA, and
Sure.
I have to admit, it still is something that if and I want to put this out there, if anybody's watching and feels uncomfortable about something, please tell me. I will tear them apart. I will eat them alive.
Can
Because-
confirm, I watched this happen, and that's actually where I'm going to go with the second part of the
Yeah.
question on this one.
Right.
Is
It's
because we can rant about like what's unwelcoming and uncomfortable. Like that's very easy human nature of just like, I'm uncomfortable about this. So what are some of the suggestions that the three of us have on how we can actually deal with that, or
Yeah.
how we're offering to deal with that? Because I
That's
think
really great. It's great that you're actually asking that question, Helga, because it becomes less of a rant now and it becomes more of a like productive conversation on how to approach somebody in the SCA, regardless of who they are. If they're not like, the white
Sure.
male default, quote unquote default, that, how do you approach somebody who's not that? And how do you do it respectfully? And if they tell you to back off because you did something that wasn't like okay, or was a little bit on the side of things, how not to like just freak it the fuck out about it. All right,
Yeah.
let's have that conversation. Do it.
I think at the same time, it's just
I have
having
my
a... No, that was so good. I always make sure you're finished. And I think it's one thing is conversation, like actually having a communication, having a dialogue. It's okay to ask questions. Like, hey, I want to ask you a question that may be uncomfortable. May I be able to ask it? Now, that's a hard thing to do because people don't feel comfortable. So to have that whole thing be like, hey, I don't feel comfortable about this, but you say, hey, this is a safe space in this regard, not like trying to get into your pants, not trying to, it's like, really, let's just talk about brass tacks, what's going on. And there are people that you should be able to ask, and just people that should be able to. Now, that's the thing where, once again, Her Grace Helga was talking about that the Knights don't always have the best with that, because there's the whole white belt thing, but then they do one thing and say the other. So you have to walk the walk, talk the talk, and have the common courtesy to say, hey, if you don't want to talk to me about this, would you be more comfortable with Her Grace Helga or Mistress Sassy Pants? No, but you have to actually, it's that whole, don't be mad if they don't want to talk to you. Find them someone else to talk to. Number one thing in retail, I don't know the answer, but I'll find it for you. And you find the people for them. And you get them there. Yeah! Soapboxes!
Going on soapboxes. Hang on 1 second. Could I be a terrible human?
But yeah, if you want to go on Mistress, is there anything else you can think about that? I know we're getting close on time. I'm sorry.
It's actually fine. Like, I'm actually really cool with this question going over a little bit, because I think this is
know.
something that's not addressed verbally in the SCA very often.
Sure.
And as open a format as this. And so if y'all are okay, we're probably going to end up going over time today. Please tell us.
Seto, are you cool with that?
Seto, are you?
I'm perfectly cool. I got, what do I have to do tomorrow? Nothing.
Yeah, I got to sleep in. And so
I
one
gotta
of the
pick up
things-
kittens. Sorry, kittens coming tomorrow. Anyway,
I'm going to agree with Seto on this. Is I think that actually how we address this is by peers understanding they're not always, or people in authority, we're actually going to say people in authority, may not always be the person to address it, but they should actually have a little bit of a network to address it. And so if somebody's uncomfortable talking to me, I can say, hey, like, I can talk, like, there's Tulia, there's Seto, there's like, do you need who you need, and I will try to get you to it. And so I think by not being personally invested in needing to fix the problem, we actually allow ourselves to help people a lot more in any issue. And so I think that more of us need to take that lesson that we're not always the hero that is meant to solve the problem. Occasionally, we're the NPC that is going to send the person to the hero.
Sure. Exactly. We're quest givers that work. And also, too, remember that we have seneschals that are supposed to handle this. Not every seneschal is adequately equipped with this. Not as a slight. Not everyone has changing.
that's sorry to interrupt you, Seto.
You're fine. No,
One of
you're
the
fine.
things I think that it should be mandatory for seneschals to take this kind of training.
It should. And things are, I mean, once again, things are being worked on. And I think that's society-wide. But don't forget about that as peers or people. We don't have to solve anything. We maybe are not especially send them to those people. And then if they don't do what they're supposed to do, that's when you start saying, hey, this is your job. But anyway, that's all I want to say. I didn't want to forget about that. That's how
and I just wanted to add to both of your excellent responses, too, that I understand that when someone is made uncomfortable, it takes an amazing amount of courage to speak up and tell somebody in a position of power, because you don't know how that's going to end up getting used. I know that you don't know if it's going to become retaliatory. You don't know if you're going to be outed. You're going to be, somebody's going to find out that you said it, and that person, the person you're talking about is going to go on a campaign against you. Like, there's a lot of this stuff that is really real in the SCA as well as the real world. But I want to reassure anyone watching this who has these experiences that I will absolutely take into account your wishes. If you're coming to me and you're asking for my advice on how to handle something, or just need to tell somebody that it's happening, but you don't necessarily want Tulia to go on a rampage, I will respect your wishes. I will try to counsel you as best I can, and get you help that if you need help. And also keep an eye out for you. Like I'm literally like, I'm so close to tears right now because this is something that is so close to my heart that I feel so deeply. And
I just want to drop my knight's belt on the table and be like, this is exactly what this oath is. And I'll also tell you, like, I just want to point out that there is, this is going to sound really fucking weird. There's many more good peers than bad peers. The bad peers just tend to be vocal and idiots. I will either counsel you in silence and like keep my fucking mouth shut, or go get in a fist fight. Like, I have no problem if you're like, I don't feel safe around this person, or I'm having a problem with this person. I'll either go mediate, or like, I got no problem throwing down. Like, zero problems.
And I don't have a knight's belt to speak to the world. I have a peerage. I have a very precious one, something I'm deeply proud of. But I think honestly, as who I am, speaks to the fact that I would absolutely go to the bat for anybody who's in a situation where they're being made uncomfortable for any reason. And if I go to the bat, I mean, like, not just immediately leap to like, I will fucking cut this bitch, which I absolutely would love to sometimes. But it's all about it. That's another aspect of consent. When you're being vulnerable to somebody and figuring out how to help them without maybe making the problem worse for them. You may think you're helping, but you're maybe not.
So, I think that's all great ideas, ladies, and that's awesome. Where it's that whole part. I mean, when really the moral story comes, if we don't have bays on, we don't have belts on, it's that whole teaching people, this is people that you go to, will get you to the right place, not to be retaliatory. That's why when people think about the whole, like, non-hazing and other stuff, they're like, that's horrible, we shouldn't have to worry about that. But sometimes you have to have that so you know that.
Yeah, and I look back on my own like childhood in the SCA. I mean, I was a child when I joined, and I think about like the hazing. You actually used a really good word, because that was I was in a group of boys, teenage boys that were friends, and I dated one of them and all his wacky buddies, but like the type of pranks that they would do on one another that was absolutely horrifically hazy, and. Yeah, so I watched all that happening, and at the time it was like everybody's laughing about it, so it must be okay. But now I realize, like, no, that is not okay. Like, that shit is not cool.
No, and I won't get into that because there is such thing, and it's a weird thing that I've actually been talking with my sociological friends, where consensual hazing. And even though they're like, what the hell does that mean? But you can say, like, hey, we're going to do this stuff back to each other. We can do this back and forth until it's not okay. And then we need to say it's not okay. But the fact is, if you don't have that conversation first, if you don't have that conversation, people aren't going to do it. So you can say it, but not actually do it. So, no, I feel you.
Yeah. All right, so are we ready to roll into lighter topics?
Yeah.
Lady of the Lake.
There's a bright sticky note.
I like her.
The Lady of the Lake says, hello.
Hey.
Oh, hi. Hey.
I can say that to her because we're friends and it's okay.
I think we're friends now.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a feeling there's multiple sticky notes here.
Okay, cool.
Drink.
Yeah.
Oh God, I know this.
To our wonderful Lady of the Lake.
Thank you, Lady of the Lake.
Okay, so on the letter questions, and I just want to like pause for a second and say thank you to both of you guys very much for having a discussion around that question. I realized that it ate a lot of time, and I want to say thank you to the audience. There are some heavy questions coming through just because of how society is right now. And one of the things about the show is we want to have light conversation and have fun and joke around and show the easy side of peers and or anybody who is a guest on this show, because people are people. But also part of the thing is that both Mistress Sassy Seamstress and I really talked about was also bringing these questions to light so we can have real discussions and so that people could see that peers are also flawed, and that we don't have all the answers, and that maybe we're working it out too, but also we're here and going to try. And so I just want to say thank everybody for taking that ride on that question. I really debated on putting it in the show or not, and I'm glad that I did. So thank you.
I think it was a great question. I've been looking and thinking, yeah. You know, every time we Helga and I put the questions together, that question is always definitely there. Like, but do we want to get into that? And I think Helga made the right decision, because that is an absolutely necessary conversation, no matter how not funny or fun it may be. It is, and that's what we do on this show. We're trying to have these deep philosophical, big questions about how the SCA works and how it can be better while we're having all the shit, around it as well.
Still having a good time. Lady of the Lake's giving out compliments and other things, and it's important.
Also, she's rad. She's the best. I wanted to actually ask our viewing audience if they could kindly text my boyfriend to bring me another cocktail. That would be really great, because it worked so well last week. He ignores my text. He listens to you guys. So text Kelly Long on Facebook.
Just
tell him to bring me another cocktail. All right.
I love it.
Just like text bomb Thorfinn right now.
Right.
I believe the next question is yours, Mr. Sassy.
It is from our dear friend Tink. What influences make you choose your persona? Has your persona changed over the years in the society?
Ooh, that's an easy one. My soapbox, but I'll try not to. I've always loved Japanese culture since the age I was like 6. Ninja Turtles, everything.
Ninja
awesome.
Turtle. Yes.
And I've always wanted to do that kind of thing. I did like martial arts since I was like 8 or so, but I found that SCA and I was like, what can I do that will also teach me about myself and also be something that I really want? And then my knight, Sir Vargas, was like, as a squires, you need to write a 2-page paper on how you got into my service. And I was like, homework? No. I'm like, let's find out if there's ever a big, tall black guy that was ever in Japan and then maybe traveled once. And I found this person named Yasuke.
Yeah.
And he was the African samurai. They're going to make a movie about it.
I know. I'm super excited about it.
I'm so excited about that movie. Like, hardcore.
In my other life, I run a costuming blog with my 2 best friends who aren't in the UK, called Frockflix, and we have been following this development on the story, and we are absolutely like, everybody was just like, fuck yes, like
exactly. And I've been trying to find out research about this guy I've been in society now 11 years. I probably started doing it around 8 years, so I've been looking at research for him for 8 years. They came out with a book on him 2 years ago that was really well done. It has their own spin on things, but they actually looked at the research. And that's through the character. I'm like, I want to be that person. I want to do that stuff. I want to do that. And so far, it's been cool. I've actually shown that part of my persona.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been fun. And I'm actually looking, so I have a business. I'm going to, little shameless plug, my fitness, and it's called Training Fitness and Physical Culture, where I'm actually going to go to Japan and actually walk the path of Yasuke and go to all the places he went to, do a documentary, and just do it with fun and show it to YouTube. I don't know, I'm figuring it out. But that's what I wanted to do.
My little Laurel heart just exploded. Like, yes!
And it's so funny because that was one of those things where I'm just like, I want to do this before I die. And with COVID and everything else, I'm like, Carpe Diem or YOLO, whatever you prefer. I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm setting things in place. So I hope to do it next spring, next year. We'll see. And just start doing things. But no, my persona's been this. This I've always wanted to. I like with Yasuke, I can go wherever I want. I can wear 14th century clothes because he was over in that court. I can wear Japanese stuff because I was over in Japan. I can wear African stuff. I can do whatever I want. So that's my persona, and that's what I'm sticking to. And sometimes you just wear funny stuff.
Yeah.
So
sometimes it's whatever the mood strikes. You know?
Yeah. Accessories. Anyway.
Helga, you want to answer?
So mine is super weird, and it's not for any like. So I'm obsessed with the Scythian culture, by the way. I only have a few pieces. I have my ducal coat is an amazing piece that's actually built off an extant dig.
She's covered in Scythian tattoos.
I am covered. If I can take off my tunic and show you guys, I am covered from elbow to elbow in Scythian tattoos, and there is more planned. Because they're one of the original, so Scythian, by the way, I'm going to have a weird, thing. Scythian is kind of like the weird overview of many, many different tribes. It's what the Greeks called them. It is very likely where the Amazons came from, or the legend of the Amazons, because we're finding more and more digs where men and women are buried with equal status. And women are buried as warriors, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, if you can't tell, I have a huge heart-on for that.
No.
Not at all. I love, by the way, that you're just randomly eating fruit and lounging.
I'm making myself, I'm hungry. I'm just...
Yeah. And so I'm delighted by their culture, and a lot of in their horse culture. And so I'm just now getting into that because we have a lot of research going off, and I'll eventually probably develop a Scythian persona, because why the fuck not? But back to why I've been in what garb I've been in. I am built like a brick shithouse. I am not.
It's actually very hourglassy.
Yeah, but only if you
You're muscular.
She's dense.
So, but I'm built like a draft horse made for work, and go from there. And so a lot of the delicate. So I have stuff for Roos and Viking. If you we're going to use a big umbrella of Viking, because that's again Scythian umbrella. It is not
migration era. I think that's the current term for
same umbrella. And so I have a lot of that early period because it fits my body style. Actually, it doesn't make me self-conscious. It doesn't I can run around in it and I feel like I don't look like a sack of potatoes. And so basically all my personas are based around my really terrible body image issues. And so, that's my terrible answer to that question of I wear the garb that makes me feel like not a sack of potatoes.
First of all, you should never self-degradate yourself. You're beautiful and you're awesome. And you wear whatever makes you happy. So that's awesome.
He said, like this. I hear you though, because body image issues are a thing. If you are raised female in this culture, it's hard. I mean, and I know men also experience it to a certain degree too, especially more recently. It's become actually more talked about and amongst my male friends about their own body issues and everything.
Well, yeah, because we have Jason Momoa. He looks amazing, and how you measure up to that. But anyway, back to your story.
Yeah, but there can only be one Jason Momoa.
Thank God.
Let's celebrate him and not expect everybody else to look like him.
I agree. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
But for me, I've had a number of changes in persona over the decades where, not persona really. I've always, and this is where you get into this weird, in the West, and I would drink if I had a cocktail.
I'll drink for you. Chivalry and whatnot. Blah, blah, blah.
I get into this weird thing where in the West Kingdom, we're not a kingdom that really goes way hard into persona. And really, it's kind of this is your name in the SCA. This is the loose guidelines about what you may like to wear in whatever era you pick your name or
really.
From. Yeah, we're not going to sit there and tell you well, my persona is from the 12th century and this very specific, 1162 in Kent, in this little a village in England called blah, like we're not going to
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
There are
Very
some
cool.
people, there are some people that get very specific about it, but I think culturally in the West, it's not something that is, in fact, I had it beaten out of me because I came from the fringe in the West Kingdom where it was a thing. Like we tried to stay in character, in persona.
Oh,
And
that's hard.
yeah. And then when I quote unquote graduated, I don't know, maybe demoted myself, who knows, into the mainstream culture of the West Kingdom, I tried to do that around my new friends who I love dearly, and they were like, "What are you doing? Like, nobody does that. That's weird." And I'm like, "This is like 10 years of my life on the fringe. Like we all stayed in character and talked about the battle of like 1432 or whatever."
Sure.
So for me, it's gone through a couple of evolutions, and I've always had in my heart is very 16th century. It is late period. It is, there's 3 regions that I'm always been drawn to: English, French, or Italian. And those are all very broad.
Sure.
And then I got laureled for my research in like mid 16th century English upper class clothing, female upper class clothing. Like it was a very specific thing I was doing. I also branched out into Italian at that time, same time periods. We're talking like 1560s, 1570s. And I love those dresses. I loved wearing them. You feel so elegant and beautiful, but they are so hard to wear that as I've gotten older, my tolerance level for heat and being in corsets or multiple layers of silk, it just completely, I can't do it anymore. So I have to be really picky about when I do wear those clothes. It'll be at an indoor event like a 12th night, or when I know it's going to be cold or anything like that. But I can't like just go to an average Western out in the middle of a scorched patch of earth with no shade, and it's 90 degrees or higher.
No.
And
no.
not want to die. So I don't wear that as often as I used to. And I still have like all of my 16th century clothes are actually behind this curtain. And I pull them out every now and then. I look at them and I go, oh. And I keep thinking like one day I'll show up wearing something and for the interviews, and it smacks of effort. Like Slavic is easy. 14th century looks great, and it's also very comfortable to wear. So like that's kind of where I am right now with that. But persona wise, I'm actually 16th century. Yes.
Very cool.
Like next to Australia, can we do it? Everybody wears pink on Wednesday.
Yes.
I don't want to go to Australia until they move their site.
It's gonna be wait. Anyway, I don't know anything.
We don't know anything about it. Yes.
So are we ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's do the next one.
I am. I think that was a great answer, and thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So just to warn the cast and crew, this one's gonna go long.
Oh no.
I'm assuming, Seto, are you cool with this?
Oh yeah, this is fun. This is awesome.
We're gonna go through all 10 questions and just have a blast doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So this next one's from Peggy. Describe your perception of courtesy and who, in your opinion, exemplifies the ideal.
Ooh, courtesy. Did I
Oh my gosh.
pick that one or did you?
Woo, courtesy. So, I'm sorry, I feel like a spelling bee. Can you read the question one more time, please?
Describe your perception of courtesy and who, in your opinion, exemplifies this ideal.
So courtesy, perception-wise, can always be you're being courteous as far as you're being accommodating. You can be nice. You can be caring. You can be a hostess. Yet that doesn't always mean bending over backwards. Doesn't mean doing all things that the person there asks. It's this level of, hey, I'm giving you these things. However, no, this is something I'm giving to you, not something that is expected. People expect things far too often. All you expect is maybe coming out of the rain, but you don't have to like, hey, do you have anything? No, it's like, just sit right here. So that can be one of those things you can keep the level of what you want to make. You can say, here, have some wine, have some bread, have some cheese. Or you can just say, here, please wait here. Let me go get the lord or lady of this, whatever you're at, if you're at a camper. Now, level of courtesy, I think I'm just gonna add to this whole courtesy wars or just giving compliments. Like, Her Grace was very courteous when I was at Australia. And she had many, many tents. And she let me have one of them. And granted, yes, I was the prince. Or no, I was king. Sorry, I was king at the time. But she would have done that for anybody. It doesn't matter. She was being courteous. She was helping. I think that's a great point of courtesy to where people do this and they don't even want to thank you. However, they do it because it's the right thing to do. And that is my question, my answer.
Do you want
Sassy?
me to go?
Oh, I'm gonna let you go first.
I actually agree a lot with His Excellency in the sense that your perception of courtesy is shaped by the examples of when someone is courteous to you. I think that's maybe slightly different than what you said, Seto.
Sure.
But it is absolutely how you know, the way that you're treated. It's do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yeah.
It is. I'm not. You know, I do not follow the Christian faith, but I find that is it's an easy reference point for most of us in Western, you know, the Western culture, to look at in terms of like, well, what sort of is a distillation of courtesy? And so I always kind of go back to that. As for who exemplifies that, oh man, I can't name anyone without naming so many people that I know that I feel like do it better than I do. Like where I sit back and I go, God damn it, like that person really, really nails it. And
but think about it maybe in that instance, you're like, this person does it great, this person does it great, this person does it great.
I kind of want to say it's really hard. It's not that I can't name names. It's like if I start naming names, stop naming names. Like anyone. Sure. Oh God,
It's like an Academy Awards. You're like, I'd like to thank these people and these people and these people and these people.
This is one of these times that I'm like, so when these questions get asked, like I drank, if I had a drink, everybody message my boyfriend and get me a cocktail.
What's his name?
But anyway.
Boyfriend?
Kelly Long at Facebook on Facebook. But when Helga and I prep these questions, we don't oftentimes make a big deal about like trying to prepare for them in advance. So we pick the questions, so we know they're coming, but we're not like necessarily prepared for it. And so I'm trying to answer this like off the cuff and like kind of chilling up on it right now. So I'm going to actually say, can I hold off on answering who exemplifies it while I think about it a little bit more and shoot that question over to my colleague?
So my definition of courtesy is a little weird. I realize it's actually like kind of like my definition of faith and humility. Like I'm a really weird knight. Okay, I just need to put that out there. Courtesy to me is being able to maintain balance while under fire. So courtesy to me is a mediator, is the person that steps in conflict and carries themselves above the emotional cost of it. And so when you think of somebody that's courteous, they give their time, they give what they have. That's generosity. Courtesy is that ability to almost remove oneself from what's going on and still maintain balance. And so when I think of courtesy, I think of a mediator who can come into a situation and they carry everybody up. They pick everybody up in the situation and they bring it back to a spot where they can then move forward. And so it's a very weird definition of courtesy because we think of courtesy as like, oh man, let me open this door for you or anything else like that. First, I think of courtesy as the person that steps between the two people that are arguing and say, hey, I will sit and spend my time with you. I will give you the generosity of my time. I will give you the generosity of my drink so we can then talk about this thing. We can then we can take conflict and make understanding. And so that's where courtesy is for me. And I realize it's a very weird definition of it. But there's so much of the other virtues that go with it. There's courage that goes with it. There's generosity that goes with it. Courtesy is one of the things that carries us into the future and carries us to the next generation. And so courtesy requires all of the virtues to actually be enlightened and be the forefront, because you must have the other virtues to carry courtesy. You must have faith in self. You must have the courage in it. You must have the faith that you can deal with the situation. You must have the prowess and everything else like that. So it's long and drawn out. But courtesy is those that give their time or their person or their things and then lift people up with it. They take society to the next level while also maintaining self. And one of the people that exemplifies this for me, and I'm just going to throw it down in names, is actually Sir Robert of Woodsend.
I was going to say,
everybody puts him as courtesy.
Where is he from? Is he from the West?
He's from the West. He's a Viscount in the West. Yeah.
If you come west, and so this is where I'll just tout this man. He is the ideal knight. Like when you think of Percival, like he's Percival for us. He is the ideal knight. Cool. He is one of the knights that isn't actually corrupted.
Which I don't think is fair to him as a human being to really say that, because he is a human being, like, but he is the guy that so many knights that I know say exemplifies knighthood for them. So that is absolutely something that it is a real thing here.
And I have seen Robert so mad about a situation and so fed up, and still he took that anger and set it aside to start a conversation and to try to come to a mediation point and address it. At the same time, also in the best days, when it's easy for all of us to be courteous and full of faith in the dream and the ideal, he still carries that weight with him. He is somebody that I trust beyond anything else, just because of how he's bearing. And so that's my very weird spiel on courtesy and who I think
good.
I mean,
you have to promise me that one of these days you'll introduce me to this individual.
He's amazing and a delight, and also he hits like a truck.
He's a very, very good fighter.
Cool.
Yeah, I was also going to actually, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I felt like, thank you for naming Robert of Woodsend, because that's kind of like the default answer if you're a Westie and Robert. You're like, well, that guy, obviously. But I was thinking too of another knight that I think also exemplifies it, and I would say Sir Geoffrey Matthias, who is just one of the kindest people I've ever known, and unfailingly kind, unfailingly welcoming, unfailingly just a good human being, like a nice person, and multi-talented. He's a laurel, he's a knight, and he's a pelican, so he's a triple threat. Has been in the SCA and played in numerous different kingdoms, but he's been in the West Kingdom, I think, for the longest. And he's just a total doll, and I adore the heck out of him. But I also think that he is a really good example of courtesy and how you treat people. That new doesn't matter. He's always just kind. So, but also a totally good fighter, and would probably be scary as fuck.
Awesome.
I don't.
No, it's cool.
I don't know these things.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, so are you ready for the next one?
I also have to say, name-wise, is Duke Eliyahu is awesome.
Okay.
And he's just such a great guy.
I promised I would read a comment. Hang on, I got to scroll up.
Sure.
This is from Thor's Forge, and this is on the YouTube thing, so it's memorialized. You'll have to go read it again.
Okay.
Is that he wanted to remind you that you're one of the people that exemplifies that.
Me or you?
You.
No, you.
Oh, me? Oh. Wait.
Yes.
Well, thank you. That's awesome. I very much so appreciate that. I try. Helps to never fail you in that part, and always try to strive towards that. But thank you.
So are you ready for the next question?
Yeah. Let's do it. All right. This one from our lovely Princess of the Mists, Sarah. If you had to dance your way through life, what dance would it be? The Macarena, the Running Man, the Turkey Trot, Cabbage Patch.
I would like to know that her autocorrect turned that into the Rubbing Man.
Rubbing Man. I saw that. Yeah. I was like, hey. Yeah.
Can I defer and have you ladies go first, and I have to think about this one?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Dance through life. Helga?
Oh, I'm a little goth kid, club stomping fool that's also punky and from the fucking mountains, and I'm gonna go with Bad Company by Five Finger Death Punch, and we are just leveling shit as we go.
Ooh.
You're a moshy goth. Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Because for me, I'm all like, yeah, mine is like, catch the bat, release the bat, catch the bat, release the bat. You know? Stepping over the graves. Like, yeah. I think mine actually would be like the Molly Ringwald dance. You know, if you're a child of the 80s, you know exactly what because my cornet would go flying off right now, but I kind of default to that. Also swing dance. I really enjoy a good swing dance. And my lovely lord here who's bringing me a cocktail, thank you, internet, actually is a phenomenal swing dancer. So we like to
That's awesome.
You know, have a good time with the swinging. So we're children of the 90s. It's a thing.
You both came up with that way quicker than I thought, and I wasn't sure. I
Keep
feel
talking.
like no, it's fine. I think for one, heritage-wise, I think it'd be awesome to soul train my way through life and just keep on coming into the dance and roll. Just keep on dancing through, be like, yeah. Or I think a good merengue is awesome.
Ooh,
and
I like
doing that through life. Yeah, it's a good merengue.
I mean, like, well, soul training, I like that, and that's also kind of like a merengue, kind of a similar.
Exactly. So you can kind of do that. And then
I like how you guys pick something with a beat and I pick something with a fist fight.
But there's nothing wrong with a fist fight. Just to like, you're just like mashing through. You're like, get out of my way. So that's cool. And then the last one I'd have to say is just I'm showing my LMFAO love. Just like every day I'm shuffling through life and you're just like kind of like I gotta get through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. This is me.
All of them. Sometimes you just gotta switch it up.
Our technomancer says electric slide. That's curious.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might actually go with Lord of the Lost Blood of My Blood too. But that's like, down a really weird rabbit hole. So.
Yeah, but it's a good rabbit hole.
So are we ready for the next question? This is the bonus question, the final question of the episode.
What? It's almost over. Oh, okay.
I mean, we can do this all night.
All right. This one comes from Christine, and I am not going to get through this question straight without giggling. So, my apologies.
Okay.
How would you sensually describe something ordinary, such as a favorite fabric or meal, which would make it sound exciting or inappropriate to others?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I honestly can't answer this question. Like, I'm like.
I have to think about food. We have to think about all these things, especially in the days of the plague and the quarantine. You think about going to your favorite restaurant, you think about your favorite meal or dinner. So I say, imagine this. Think about your most savory dinner you have as you take a forkful and you savor it, each bite, not wanting to devour it, yet it tantalizes the tip of your tongue and your gullet as it goes down your throat. But then, however, it is so delightful that fireworks explode in your mind and you wish for more, yet you don't. You're glad when it's over because then you want more later. So therefore, by talking about some meal that may be some kind of pasta ravioli or any kind of steak-wise, you are then saying, this was so good. And not using the words of like orgasmic. You don't have to go that way.
No.
You just describe, you're like, this is so tantalizing. It makes of such a radiance in my mind that I savor this meal. Thank you for this meal. So that's what I got. I don't know. I just wrote it down. Sorry.
Baby ninja.
I'm sorry,
in the background.
so I just heard panties just melt across the U.S.
Everyone watching this is all like, where did my underwear go? Like a wisp of smoke.
I won the alcohol on that one. Yay, Jen.
Mistress, you get to go before me, or I'm just going to be blunt.
Oh, no, I'm going to go with, okay, so two things. One, you've ever eaten something so good that your nipples get hard? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and my other favorite one actually is just saying like, this is so good. I want to rub it all over my body. Like, I need two, one for me to eat, and the other one to just rub all over.
That's all right though. Then you're like, order like, I'm gonna have two of those. Like normally, man,
Exactly.
like, just give me two.
One for me.
I know what the hell I'm ordering.
The other one for me to eat.
Exactly. I'm maybe taking it home. You don't judge me. Bring me two.
I will say though, I had this gnocchi, and this was like 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Ex-boyfriend and I went to Chicago, and we ate at Barack Obama's favorite restaurant in Chicago, and I can't freaking remember the name of the place, but it was still when he was just Senator Obama. He had not yet even actually started running a campaign or anything like that. It was just kind of like up and coming. And a friend of ours that we met there, who we knew him before, but Ron in Chicago. He came from the UK and we came from California, and we met in Chicago. And he's like, we have to eat at this place because this is Barack Obama's favorite restaurant. And we're like, all right, okay, cool. And it's this beautiful kind of, I think it's French restaurant. Fancy. You need a jacket. Gentlemen have to wear a jacket, and ladies have to, be presentable and everything. And we sit down, and I had this. It was a gnocchi with a cream sauce and black truffle, like a black truffle cream sauce. I have been chasing that for, I guess, 13 years. This was probably like 2007, maybe 2006.
Oh, that's so hard. You've met the pinnacle. Now you're just like everything else. You're like, what is life?
There was a moment where I was like, can I get two, one for my pants and one for my face? Like, that.
Yeah. I would like to note, Seto, you missed a one-liner there with the chocolate cream sauce. I'm just gonna point that out.
I didn't miss anything. I was just going,
Maybe we failed to capitalize on it until
something just so decadent.
Yeah. I mean, there's been so many places I've eaten. I've been to Michelin-rated restaurants around the world, and I've had the incredible privilege to have eaten some truly phenomenal things. But that one plate of gnocchi, that was it. That was
just like,
yeah. I'm like, I'm done. I'll never eat again.
I would like to rewind this moment over and over again.
Completely.
Everything else is not.
Yeah.
I like.
What about you?
You have to find out, because Chicago's only 2.5 hours away from me, because I'm in Illinois. But
oh, that's right. Yeah, you're super close. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll look it up. Give me a minute while Helga tells the story. I'll look it up and see if I can't remember what it is.
So there's all the way from Blunt, as my lovely co-host is, which I normally am, where I'm just like, oh, this is so good that my nipples are hard over it. And then there's those times where you just slow down and you look at somebody and you ask them, while you're touching something or experiencing it, and go, do you know what the feeling of, like, when you come off a roller coaster and you have that moment where your breath catches and you wonder, because your lizard brain is going, we may not survive this, but I want this so much that I'm willing to risk this moment just to touch this thing or be a part of it or taste it. And sit there, and I'm going to savor it, and I'm going to close my eyes, and it's like a fresh breath across my skin. And then you look at whoever you're sitting next to, and you put it in your mouth, or you run your fingers across it, and you see nothing more.
That's teasing. That's not cool.
She's
You're just like, no, I totally do get that. And the roller coaster thing, you hit me with that real hard, because you get that and you're like, but then you're like, another one. So,
And when you have it, when you're experiencing it with another human being, just like in any sense and form, where it's like food or a drink or a piece of fabric, and you just close your mind and you close your eyys and you feel your stomach drop out. And it's like, that is one of the things that is just so visceral for humans. Of that moment where like everything catches in your body. So yeah, that's how I would describe something in a sensual manner that is not sex. That moment that your heart drops and your stomach stills and you just wait.
Yes. No, I think that's very good. That's awesome. Oh, I love it. Love it.
I just want you all to know that I'm actually combing through archived emails from 2006 trying to find the name of the restaurant.
Oh, wow. Wow, we're going back.
Hold on. I think I maybe, this might be from the 2007 visit. Let's see here. Restaurant. No.
If not, you can find it. It's fine.
I'll have to message my friend. I think I'm gonna have to message him and be like, what was the name of that? And I'll post it on the group or in the Between Two Peers Facebook page. But
yeah, I'd be curious.
Oh no, here it is. Oh wait. La Spiaggia. It was an Italian restaurant. It's called La Spiaggia. 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 La Spiaggia, and it was on that end of the Magnificent Mile. It's like that. I couldn't even tell you. I remember it had a really gorgeous view of Lake Michigan. It was really fabulous.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I go there often enough for other things, so I'm curious. I'm like, sometimes I just find it.
Yeah, if you're there, I mean, you definitely should, and if they're still selling that or offering that
gnocchi.
Black truffle gnocchi and my God,
black cream sauce.
And with that, we can probably geek about food for another hour and a half.
Forever. Yeah.
So I'm going to start us into our closing remarks. I'm going to say, Seto, thank you so much for joining us. You have been an absolute delight. I think we got you to blush, twice, 3 times?
At least, I think at some point I was just continually blushing. My cheeks felt really warm, but luckily...
you were trying to make us blush by, lounging there the entire time and just.
I was just being comfortable and just.
He's hanging out.
Yeah, him and Hans are never allowed to be shirtless in the same room because then this.
It's gonna happen. I love him.
So, but I just wanted to say thank you all to the viewers. Like and follow us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week we're going to have Ryu on.
My rival and brother that I love so much, and I think this is so awesome that he's right after me. And I don't mean the fact after me. I mean the fact that we are together. So that's cool.
Does that just put Sarah and I between both of you? Because
that sounds terrible, and I hate it.
Also, drink. I used a mundane name.
I have a cocktail now.
But please feel free to follow us. We're looking forward to seeing you guys all next week. We're here because you guys kept saying, please do this. And so thank you very much. You give us a reason to have, to get through the work week. And then
no joke.
Follow, share. We're also trying to pick up more followers on our YouTube. So if you're not following us on YouTube, please just click follow.
Please.
Yeah, occasionally, and the subscribe button as well. I'm sorry, subscribe. It actually is subscribe, not follow, but yeah. The nomenclature is different between Facebook.
It's all different now.
It's so weird. Anyway, hit the thing that says we'll give you updates and about us whenever we have a new show. And sometimes we do midweek things that only people that follow us know that we do because we're just trying to test something out. So they get like a silly little 5-minute video sometimes in the middle of the week. And that special group.
And with that, all of you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.